Well, this is the Tagelharpa I've just completed. I've named him Ian after the hurricane 2 years ago that knocked down the oak tree that his body is made out of. So I'm going to play a short track so you can see what Ian sounds like. But if you want more details about the construction, hang around after the track ends. So this song I composed has only 5 notes in it. I figured that was a good one to get my feet wet with the Tagelharpa because I don't know anything about them. I'm using a ukulele and a lap bass to add a little bit to the track, but Ian is the featured instrument. Now, why a Tagelharpa, given that I know nothing about these things? Well, I set myself a goal of making a musical instrument using stuff I already had on hand. What I had on hand were some zither pins, some strings, some oak slabs, and some scrap wood. Now, I'd seen pictures and videos of these things, and I concluded that with the materials I had, a Tagelharpa was what I had the best shot of making. The project actually began 2 years ago when I cut slabs from this oak log. I didn't know it at the time that I was going to make a Tagelharpa, though. Now, I've shown this picture a few times, but the fact is I got a few slabs from it, and I used it for a few different projects. The slab used for this particular project here, I let dry for 2 years, and then I cut it into the rough shape of the instrument with a circular saw. Now, you can tell from the picture that the wood is pretty badly cupped. That happened during the drying process. I could have flattened the slab pretty easily, but I decided instead just to incorporate some curvature into the shape of the instrument. So the next thing I did was I used a jigsaw to cut a hole for my hand to go through, and then I used a router to carve out the sound box. Now, my understanding is these days some people will make these things like acoustic guitars where they've got a bottom, separate sides, and a top. I decided to go the traditional route and carve this out of a single wooden slab. So the tailpiece for this thing, I used a gate latch that I had laying around, and it works really great because if I ever decide to change the height of the bridge, the hinge on the tailpiece allows it to move up and down automatically to adjust to it. Also makes it very easy to change strings just by flipping this up out of the way. With the soundboard, I didn't quite meet my goal. I had a piece of wood in my scraps that I thought would look good on it. When I held it up to the oak, it just didn't look good. So I went to Home Depot, spent $7.96, glued 2 pieces of oak together to get a piece 7 inches wide, and then I planed it down to 1/8 of an inch thick with my router, and that became the soundboard. Also had to make a bow. Had a sultry bow that I was going to use, but it just didn't work well with this instrument. This thing has a flat bridge, so all the strings are played at the same time. Not like I did in the first part of the demo, or not like a violin where you play 1 string, or maybe 2. You play all of them at the same time. The sultry bow just wasn't good for that. So I looked into what people did for bows for these things, and I followed that. I went to my Hurricane Milton burn pile, found a nice curved stick, And then I ordered some horsehair on Amazon, so another $9 or so. Now, you'll notice the horsehair is very loose on this. What people do is they grip it here and tighten it against the bow and get a nice tension in the horsehair. And it works really well for playing with strings all at the same time. Now, the way these are normally played is that melody is played on one string and the other two act as drones. So something like this. So I've seen some people use the second string, and even a few use the third string for melody notes. Most of them seem to use the first string here, like I just did. How are these things tuned? Again, I've seen variety there. Most people, though, seem to use like a 1-5-1 tuning, like a DAD, for example. Mine's 1-5-1 at the moment, but it's pitched a bit higher, B flat, F, B flat. And the reason for that is simple. I found that the higher pitch resonated with the wood better for this particular instrument and gave the best sound. My theory is it's because I made this thing smaller than the typical Tagelharpa, so the higher pitch seems to work better with it. I am using steel strings on this. That's non-traditional. I think historically they started with horsehair and then eventually into nylon. Most people seem to use nylon strings these days. Some use steel, but I'll probably switch out to nylon at some point just to see what it sounds like. For right now, I'm using steel strings. So that's the story of my Tagelharpa. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.